So what we've been talking about is how during pregnancy your joints are much more loose because of a hormone called relaxin, which is aptly named, isn't it? That is flowing through your body, and it just loosens up all of those ligaments that hold your joints together. Now they're usually really, really stiff and strong and stable, and they don't move. Their point is to not move. So it's connective tissue that's meant to connect. But during pregnancy, your body is much softer because of this relaxin flowing through your system, and the purpose is to make your pelvis a much more easier channel to flow through during childbirth. But it doesn't sadly just affect the muscles in your pelvis, it will affect all of your joints and muscles, which is why you need to be especially careful of doing stretches that are too deep during pregnancy. And it can be really painful, as you know. So there can be a lot of inflammation there, especially if your muscles are, if your ligaments are too stretchy and loose. And if you are already quite hypermobile, it tends to be more painful, so it's just amplified. Now, with yoga normally, as you probably know, a lot of it is about stretching and flexibility, which is kind of the opposite of what we want when we've got any pelvic pain, pelvic girdle pain. So what we actually want to do is strengthen the structure around those ligaments that are soft. So everything that we do in this next maybe half an hour or so is going to be geared towards really gentle movements, but they will be designed to help support and add a little bit of extra firmness to the muscles around the areas that can be more affected. So we're going to start standing. So let's have a really neutral position for your feet, maybe just wider than hip width. If you just kind of do what I'm doing and step from side to side, lift one foot off the floor and then the other, you kind of find a natural position. So try not to be too prescriptive about it. And then come to stillness. Push your feet into the floor. Squeeze your kneecaps up, so like you're switching your quads on. Good, so you've got really firm legs, like you're trying to straighten your legs, like really strongly straighten your legs. And then gently squeeze your bum as well. Hug your baby in, just gently, just a gentle hug with those belly muscles, such as they are, or such as they may feel. Trust me, they're there, they're still there. And then close your eyes. And then we're going to breathe. So breathe in through your nose, into your belly. So try and let your belly be what expands as you breathe in. Keep your legs firm. Every time you breathe in, I would like you to think of pushing the floor away with your feet and getting taller in the crown of your head every time you breathe in. So we're building length. And try and keep that length as you breathe out. Keep squeezing your bum, keep squeezing your legs. Gentle squeeze on your pelvic floor. Keep breathing. So like when we are doing any sort of strength work, this standing position is like a plank. One more breath in, squeeze your legs. Good. And then release. And you should feel a really obvious release of your muscles in your bum and in your legs as you let that all go. And then let's come on to something that you can hold on to and pull against. So it might be a person. So you can have a person holding on to you. And as you pull into them, they're going to pull back. So you'll see what I mean in a minute. If not, actually a kitchen sink can work really well for this. Bear with me. So I'm going to hold on to this. It's not going to move. Basically, you want something that's not going to move. And we're going to make a downward dog shape. So you're going to have your feet, again, at that hip distance that we've just practiced. Hold on to whatever it is you're holding on to. It might be someone's hands. And then you're going to pull back. Let your head come between your arms, so your ears are between your arms. And you're just pulling. So it should feel like a really nice stretch down your back. I used to do this on the back of my sofa quite a lot. I've got a sofa in the middle of the room and I used to hold onto it and then just pull myself back. But yes, kitchen sink works well. Or a person or a sofa or something that's not going to move as you pull. So you can really just get a good grip and lengthen your spine. And it's kind of hangs the baby a little bit, which takes loads of pressure off your lower back and your hips, which is where all that pain is. So it might help to get a little bit more, take your feet a bit further back, and then so you're in much more of a right angle shape, and then rock your hips from side to side. Or don't, just do whatever feels good. Bend your knees as much as you want to, bend and straighten them if that feels good. Do what feels good here. So feel your spine lengthening, try and feel the vertebrae moving away from each other. Relax your face. Breathe into your belly. You might have had to pause this video to go and find said kitchen sink or willing volunteer. That's fine. Just try and hold it. If you had to go away and find somewhere to do this, just try and hold it for 10 deep breaths and then come and rejoin the video. Okay, so we're still on our feet for a little bit. Find that neutral position of your feet, and then we're going to come kind of into a bit of a half squat. So I want you to come down as far as you can. Try and get your bum really far back so you're almost in like a parallel position. Have your arms out in front of you. So it's a bit of a strengthening move, this one, so we're really strengthening your legs. As you know, you can feel this. Your core, the muscles in your back as you're having to lift yourself up, so we're not hunched down. Baby won't give us room for that if we're a bit further along in the pregnancy. So try to keep your chest high. If you need to, just stand up, release everything, and come back down. Just hold it for as long as you can, as long as it feels sensible. Bear in mind you're trying to strengthen all of these muscles around your hips. Come out of it when you need to, come back in if you can. And then we're going to do a variation of this position, standing against a wall. So again, you can come out of it. Again, if you need to go away from the video, pause the video. First of all, watch what I'm doing. Go away, find a bit of wall space, and then do your position and come back to the video, that's fine. So you're going to stand against the wall, so your back's against the wall. Then you're going to come down into that squat again. So it's kind of like you're sitting down with your back against the wall. So my knees are in front of my hips. So I'm kind of here against the wall, but with my back leaning completely against it. So it's a little bit more supported. But again, it's a big strengthener for your quads. So we're going to stay here for as long as you can. I mean, if it just lasts 5 seconds, so be it, and you need to come out of it, push your hands against the wall, straighten your legs, and then come back down, so be it. So we're kind of just aiming to spend as long, I'm going to hold it here for about, on and off, about 30 seconds. So you'll do this video more than once, so just aim to spend as long as possible, come out of it if you need to, straighten your legs, as long as possible of that 30 seconds in the strengthening posture. So we'll do about 10 more seconds, either come out of it and relax for that 10 seconds or give it a push, see if we can hold it. Promise we'll do something a bit gentler in a minute. Well, this is gentle, it's just not pleasant. Okay, come out of it. Good. Okay, find a bit of release in your legs. Maybe come back to the video or pause the video now if you need to go away and find some wall space to do that. And then we will meet each other on the floor or on the mat. Now we're going to do some pelvic tilts here. So you're on all fours, and then what I would like you to do is, I think we've probably done this before, It's a cat and a cow stretch, so tilting our pelvis forwards and looking forward, so you've got a deep downward arch in your spine, and then tucking your pelvis underneath you, lifting up into the cow pose, so an upwards arch in your spine. And then what I'd like you to do is really lead with your pelvis for this one, so get a good squeeze in your pelvic floor, tuck your tailbone under, and then push it back up to the ceiling again. So your pelvis is leading the way, so you're tilting it back and you're tilting it forwards, and your spine and your head just naturally follow the movement. So up and down, squeeze your bum. When you're in this tucked under position, in this cat position, you want to squeeze your bum. Taking it up and down, tilting it upwards, tilting it downwards, really making it all about your pelvis. Now try not to go to two extremes of this movement, so we are looking for the movement, we're not looking for, there's no end point to get to. We're looking for the control, the strengthening, and just the movement, getting some blood flow to the area, and pushing out. So inflammation is a reaction of your body, so that inflammation is what's causing pain, and if we can get a little bit of blood flow to that area, it will help pump through all of the chemicals in your body that are causing that inflammation. So if we can release them and get them pushed away, then hopefully everything will feel a lot less painful. Okay, we're going to sit down now. So I'm really lucky in that I happen to have a big squishy ball in the gym, but you can just do this on a chair. I just don't have a chair, that's all. Well, I do. I have a box, but the camera's on it, so we're on a chair. So we're on a fancy ball. So if you've got a ball, amazing, get your ball. If not, a chair. So you can pause the video, go find yourself a chair, and then come back. And then you're going to grab, it can be a yoga block, or it can even be your fist. Actually, you can make a fist. I'll show you how I'm doing it. You can make a fist. And we're going to squeeze. So it's either your block, you go to squeeze, or it's one fist, or it's two fists. We're basically looking to squeeze your knees together. So this is a really common thing that you'll be hearing if you've got that pelvic pain, pelvic girdle pain, pubic symphysis disorder. So we're squeezing. So it's either that block, or it's one fist, or it's two fists. So I'm going to count you in this. We're going to do about 10 seconds of squeeze at a time. So just get your block or your fist, whatever you're using in position. And then we're going to squeeze your knees together as hard as you can. We're going to try and hold this for about 10 seconds. So keep squeezing. Imagine you've got a volume control and you're turning it up, 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 up. And then release. Okay? Completely take everything out. So those muscles, those inner thigh muscles should be saying, hi, thank you, we're awake. We're going to do it again. So put your block in place, so your fists in place, and we'll go in 3 seconds. We're going to get a nice big squeeze. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze those muscles. Good. Another 5 seconds, turn the volume up. 3, 2, 1, rest. Good. Go, and then we'll have a bit more of a rest, and then we'll do it again. So nice big squeeze coming up. We'll do it in about 5 seconds. So get your implement in place, be it a block or your fist, and then get ready, and we'll squeeze, 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 squeeze. Big, big squeeze. Goes 3 more seconds. Let go. I'm going to do it one more time. Now, you can hold this for longer if you want to. You can do this for, what we're doing is about 10 seconds of squeezing, 20 seconds of rest, 10 seconds squeezing, 20 seconds of rest. So put the block back. I'll talk to you again. We'll go in 3, 2, 1, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. So you can do this, again, you can pause the video and do it a few more times. finish in about 5 seconds, so keep that squeeze going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Good, rest, lovely. Okay, so either carry on or come back to it next time. Okay, so wherever you are now, on your chair, on your ball, we're going to do some more of that pelvic tilting like we've just done in on the floor on all fours. So I want you to pull your hips towards your ribs, tuck your tailbone under, and then if you can see my back, can't mix hoodie on. So we're going to tuck our tailbone under, and then pulling your hips and ribs towards each other. So we're in angry cat pose, take your hands to your knees, and then pushing it back. We'll come into happy cat. So we're making that curve at the bottom of your spine. So tucking your pelvis, tipping it forwards. If you imagine your pelvis like a bowl, at the moment you're tipping that bowl forwards. And then we're going to squeeze our bum and tip the bowl backwards. So like the water's coming out the back of the bowl. And then the front of the bowl. Keep a gentle squeeze in your pelvic floor. Back of the bowl, tip it out. And just a gentle hug and give your baby inwards. So we're not trying to test those muscles too much, we're just trying to make sure that they switch on and that they can pump all of that that fluid, that blood, that inflammation out of the way. It should feel much nicer. A little bit like that's what happens when you have a massage. It just pushes, keep moving your pelvis backwards and forwards. It just pushes all of the toxins and inflammatory material, around your body so it can be processed and got rid of. Okay. We're going to come back to the floor. So discard your chair, or whatever you're sitting on. And then to come onto the floor, to come to a seated position, I'm going to ask you to sit on something. So that might be a cushion, it might be a pillow, something that elevates your hips. So I'm going to sit on either one block or 2 blocks, depending on how much support you feel like your bum needs. So I've got 2. And they are lined up next to each other. Go. And I'm going to sit on them. Now you can go as high as you want. You can build your little seat up as high as you want. Take your legs out straight in front of you. Okay. So have your feet as wide as they need to be. And then you're just going to work on sitting up really, really straight. So just like when we were standing up at the start, I'd like you to switch your legs on. So strong quads. Like, feel like you're trying to straighten your legs as much as they'll go, and even maybe more than they'll go, it feels like. And then push your heels away, pull your toes towards your face, so that your calves and your shins are turned on as well. And then you're going to sit up really straight. So this is a really nice core and back strengthening exercise, because all of those muscles that support you in staying upright are having to work really hard, and your legs and your hip flexors having to work really hard, which you'll probably feel. So these bits here in the front of your hips, everything is working really, really hard. And it feels like you've got too much rounding in your lower back. Elevate your hips even more. So put something else under them so you feel like you're sitting up even more. And the later in the pregnancy you are, the more you might feel like you need to have that support underneath you, just because of the baby being there, and also maybe how low the baby is sitting as well. You might need just that little bit more space on the front of your legs, so keep sitting upright. And then we're going to come into a seated forward fold, so bear with me on this one. I'll show you from a different angle. You're going to stay exactly where you are on your blocks, and then take your feet ever so slightly wider. Now I know this goes against all we're saying about keeping your legs together, so we're not going mega wide. We are just going to, perhaps if you look at your hips, they are maybe slightly wider than hip distance, but we're keeping that connection, so you want to keep strong legs. And then you're going to lean just very slightly forwards. So again, the bigger your baby is, the less easy this will be. So if it feels safe for you to do so, you can take your feet a little bit wider. If not, just don't go as deep. Now, you should have some sort of strapping device like a yoga strap or a dressing gown belt or something that's got no stretch in it. So you're going to take that device around your feet, ideally on the balls of your feet, so just under your toes. And then you're going to hold on to the ends of that strap and use them, kind of maybe take your hands a bit as far down towards your feet as you can go. I'm going to use that to help pull you into the stretch. So that gentle pull on the strap should help intensify the stretch down the back of your legs and into your back, and it can feel like a really nice release on the muscles that spend a lot of time being loaded when you're stood up. So just hold this here for a few more breaths while I try and remember what we're doing next. Hold it as long as you want to. Again, just pause the video, stay here if you want to. If not, we're going to come out of it. And we are still staying on our blocks. So what I'd like you to do now is we're going to bend our knees. So I'm going to bend my knees and take both of my feet to the left-hand side of my body, like that. Okay? So it's just like I'm just kind of kneeling on the floor. Okay? So it's just this. My feet towards the left, my knees are facing forward, so I'm just kneeling. And we're going to do a twist from here. So you're going to take your left hand and hold on to your right leg. So somewhere on your right thigh, maybe even your right knee, and then we're just going to twist. So you're just going to gently twist and look over your right shoulder. So take your right fingertips to the floor behind you for a bit of support. And it's a gentle twist. So in pregnancy, twists can be something to avoid, but because this kind of twist is the sort of twist that involves a back bend, so we're twisting away from our lower body, it's a safe twist. The sort of twist that would twist towards your lower body would be the type to avoid, kind of for obvious reasons really. Because your belly's in the way and you'll twist and it'll be really uncomfortable. So this is, I want you to try and think of a back bend in this position. So you're pulling your shoulder blades together behind you, looking over your right shoulder. Should feel like a lovely release in the middle of your back. Deep breaths. Gently come back to the middle. And we'll swap sides. So just really carefully, use your hands if you need to, just kind of maneuver your legs so that they are coming to the opposite side. Just do whatever you need to do to make this as comfortable as possible. Some days might feel better than others. It really depends on what you've been doing. With this sort of discomfort, it's not an injury, with this sort of condition, I hate saying that, it's kind of, you don't really realise something's going to aggravate it until the next day. So just be gentle with where you are now. And we're going to twist to the left. So take your right hand to your left leg, take your left fingertips to the floor behind you, gently lean back, kind of lift your chest. So if you've got a piece of string attached to your rib cage and it's lifting up, so boobs to the ceiling. There we go, it's a better way to do it. And then we're just going to gently twist. Look over your left shoulder. And twist. To the left. Keep breathing. Again, we don't want to go to any extremes. It just needs to feel nice. Just a nice release, especially if you spend a lot of time at the desk. This is a really nice counter position to that. Hold it for as long as it feels useful. And then let's come out of it. So just a word about sitting on these blocks. Sitting on the floor can often be really uncomfortable, but at the same time really beneficial. So if you've got those elevated hips, it can make any other position, like a seated, cross-legged position, or even just sitting with your legs out in front of you. It can make it a much more comfortable place to be. So we're going to come back onto all fours now. So transition, make your way, remove your blocks, or block, or cushion, whatever it is that you've used. And we're coming on to all fours. So we're going to work again on just strengthening your core and strengthening your hips. So I'd like you to take your left arm out in front of you, like Superman style, left arm out. And then at the same time, you're going to lift your right knee off the floor and kind of pull your knee in towards your chest. So it's a really strong core position. At any time you can bring it all down. Otherwise we've got left arm out like Superman, and then pull your knee, your right knee off the floor and up in front of you. So let me take this off again because I think you probably can't see this too well. So we're here. So again, lots of strengthening going on in this hip, which is where we've got the excess movement that we don't want. So we're going to add stability by adding strength. Just really gently. Let's swap sides. So right arm is going to come out like Superman. Left knee comes just gently forwards and squeezes up. At the same time, I want you to feel like you're kicking your bum with your left foot. So everything's just lifting up and forwards. So shoulders, hips, core, all being worked hard here. Bring it down, we'll swap sides. So your left arm's going to go out again. Right knee comes up. Squeeze it all in. Take it back down. And then again, right arm's coming out. Left knee squeezes up. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Come down if you need to. If not, hold it a bit longer. And bring it down. Then we'll do it again one more time each side. I promise, just one more time. Go away, ball. Okay, left arm out, right knee up. Give it a squeeze. And then down. Then last time for the right arm and left knee. Lift it all up. Good. Bring it down. Lovely. I'm sure you agree. Okay. Let's transition very briefly now onto your back. So we're not going to stay very long here. So don't worry too much about being on your back. Obviously, if anything does not feel right, come out of it. So we're going to lie down on your back. However, you need to be supported to get there. Pull your heels in towards your bum. Have your knees hip distance. And then, actually, you could, if your block is within reach, doesn't matter if not, so you could grab your block for this one. It doesn't matter if not, it's not essential. If you're going to use the block, put it between your knees, it's just something to squeeze. And then we're going to come into bridge pose. So you're lying on your back, you've got your knees bent, your feet flat, then you're going to squeeze your bum, tilt your pelvis backwards like you're tilting that water out of the back of that bowl, and then lift up off the floor. So you're kind of lifting yourself up onto the backs of your shoulders, squeeze your bum, pull your heels towards you, like you're pulling your heels in towards your bum, like you're trying to kind of kick your bum with your heels, squeeze, 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 lifting your hips. And then really slowly, one vertebrae at a time, bring your back down. So one vertebrae, then the next, then the next, then the next, kind of like it's a wheel. Okay, so that was one. We're going to try and do that 2 more times. So squeeze your bum, tuck your tailbone under, lift the back of your hips off the floor, and then lift your vertebrae, lift your spine off the floor, one vertebrae at a time, come all the way up. Hold it there. And then one vertebrae at a time, bring your spine all the way down. So your spine is part of your core. It's like a tin can kind of shape, like a cylinder shape, your core. It is definitely not just your abs. It's like a cylinder. So squeeze your bum, tuck your hips underneath you, lift off the floor. So your glutes and your pelvic floor, your abdominal muscles, muscles in your waist, your diaphragm, all the little muscles that come down your back. That is all of your core. And that is what we're gently trying to give a little bit more stability to. Slowly come down, vertebrae by vertebrae. Very nice, and relax. So remove your block. If you used a block, again, it doesn't matter if you didn't. And then roll onto a side, any side. Keep your knees together, roll onto your side, and then come up. So come up onto all fours first of all, so it's a nice transition. And then grab either one block or two blocks or as many cushions as you want to, and we're going to sit on these blocks. So I'm going to have mine quite high, so I've stacked two blocks, one on top of the other. And then I'm going to sit on them in a kneeling position. So I've come up onto my knees, and I'm going to sit back on these blocks, so they're just behind me. I need one of those cameras that spins around me, don't I? So the blocks are here, kind of between my feet, and I'm going to sit on the blocks, and I've got my heels outside my hips. So I'm not sitting on my feet. So if I look down, I've got kind of almost like an M shape going on here. So I'm really elevated on two blocks here, and I'm not going to slouch into my back. I'm going to lift up nice and tall, just like when we were sat on the floor with our legs out. So if this feels relatively easy, you can stay here. You can remove a block or a cushion or whatever you're sitting on and bring it a little bit further down. When you look down, if you want to kind of see your knees both pointing forwards, so they're not pointing out to both sides, they're pointing straight forwards. So if I move, I'll show you what I look like from the front. So I've got, I can see the soles of my feet next to me, they're pointing upwards, the soles of my feet. The front of my feet are on the floor, my toes are pointing backwards, and my knees are pointing forwards, and my calves are on the outside of my thighs. So the most extreme way to do this would be to have your bum flat on the floor, so not sitting on anything. But it's also the most uncomfortable way to do it, and that's not what we're here for. We're already uncomfortable. So have some support under your bum is what I'm saying. So your sitting bones should have something to sit on, and you should feel really supported here. You should feel like you can sit here and spend some time here, which is exactly what we're going to try and do. So sitting up straight. So this is called hero pose, which I think is very apt, one of my favouritely named poses. Maybe we should call it heroine pose. So we'll try and stay here for about maybe another minute. So everything's staying nice and contained here. We're not doing any stretching of the muscles, of the joints away from each other. We're not adding any instability. All of the stretching that we're doing, all of the movement that we're doing is designed to help flush out any inflammatory toxins, and it's designed to strengthen all that area around your legs and your hips and your glutes and your core, so that extra stability and strength will help mitigate the instability that you're feeling. Let's just take a little bit of time to just check in with baby here as well. So just relax, let go of your core now, so we don't need to have that gentle hug anymore. So just breathe into your belly. Let your pelvic floor release. So nice and relaxed. And if this feels good, you can hold this pose for even longer. If not, we're going to come, if you're ready to, you can always pause and carry on here. If when you're ready to, we're going to come into our final relaxation pose. So for this pose, I'd like you to stay stay on your block or your blocks or your cushions or whatever it is that's supporting your hips. And we're going to come into child's pose, everybody's favourite. And I'd like this child's pose to be quite supported. So support your hips, have as much as you want to, as much as you can underneath your hips. So you're sitting on, I don't know, roll up a duvet or a blanket or something, get that under your hips. And then the same is going to happen in front of you. So we're going to take our knees a little bit wider now, not too wide, a little bit wider, just to make space to come forwards. So obviously the further along in your pregnancy you are, the less far forwards you can get, but with the help of something to lean on, I mean, you could even use your sofa for this one. So just make sure the whole of your arms are supported. So I want you to feel like you are completely supported here, and you can completely let go. If you're able to, you can come all the way down onto your elbows if it feels okay here. And then I'd like you to rest your head on something. So if you've only got one block, you can use 2 fists and put your forehead on your fists to kind of make a little tower with your fists. Do that. Or use a block on as high a setting as you can. Or if you're using a sofa, take the side of your face to the sofa. Same if you're using a pile of cushions, just take one side of your face to the side. So the aim of this position here is that you can really give into gravity. So I'm just going to come out of it so I can talk to you. So the aim here is that you are fully supported and you can just completely relinquish downwards. So I'm going to explain the position and then we'll just leave the video and you can spend as long here as you want to. If it's not feeling good on your knees to be in this position anymore, come out of it and maybe just kneel normally, like you kneel with your legs together and come forwards that way. So maybe lie on your sofa that way. Or even if that's not quite good, you can come up high on your knees and lie on your sofa here. So basically we're coming into like a hanging position. So you want to hang the belly and you want to make your lower body and upper body as relinquished to gravity as possible, as supported as possible. So find your variation of that, somewhere where you can completely relax. And I will leave you there. Okay, well done.